Hey everybody, LeadSpeed here. Welcome to my next Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle. This time it is against Chris, also known as xXMeteorXx. We've battled quite a few times before, so this is just basically another battle we've had. And this is actually our first battle that we've had in X and Y. Now, fun fact, we actually did another game, like maybe a couple months or so, like after this one. Well, after this one took place, obviously. This particular match was when Pokebank was out for Japan, but not for everybody else. And basically, I had to use the GTS to get some of the mons that I wanted to use in X and Y Wi-Fi battles. And those would be my Meloetta and the Whimsicott and the Meloetta. Now, the Meloetta, as I have brought up in the couple of older Pokemon XY Showdown videos, was something that I wanted to trade for or borrow to use in one battle, and this was that one battle. So yeah, of course, I guess I'll bring this up again, the Ultimate 341. Yeah, he was the guy who PM'd me saying he had one, and you know, he let me have it if we trade and stuff like that. And yeah, that's basically what happened. So yeah, with that being said, any future Meloetta appearances will be that of my own Meloetta. So yeah, no longer am I going to be borrowing anybody else's Meloetta. It will solely be me using my Meloetta, basically. So that's just how it works. And you're gonna see that in the rematch because yeah, I used Meloetta in this battle and the second battle. So what a shock. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. And so is my team, just because I don't know, the team is kind of weirdly put together. Kind of like that team I had with the Moltres and Latias in my UU session with the Moltres. It was kind of strange. And this is even stranger because this is basically like an all-out UU team. None of these guys are OU, so it's kind of like a weird mismatch. And I just literally wanted to use these particularly. And yeah, I mean, I only have myself to blame for that, and of course that mistake gets rectified in the rematch. But again, this battle was very good. Both battles were actually pretty good, and that's why you're seeing them. But I gotta say though, like one recurring theme you're gonna kind of be seeing is that Scolipede being a huge threat to me every time I run into it. I guess it's just because I'm never prepared for it, no matter what I bring, and it's just like, oh crap, when he brings it in, it's like, oh, that's not good. I have to have a clutch play or something like that, and that's basically what I would have to bank on if that thing sets up. So yeah, so let's get on with the battle. All right, here we go. He's going to lead, well, I'm going to lead with my DiGiorno, my Rotom Heat, and he's going to lead with Tongue Twister, his Greninja. Now, I outspeed him right away and go for the Volt Switch. Why? Choice Scarf Rotom for the win. It's probably not the most common Rotom you'll see generally, unless it's like Rotom Cut or something like that. And I'm going to go into my Gallade, not shiny, because remember, this is pre-worldwide release bank or whatever. So, and I wasn't even able to get a shiny Rolls. Sad face. I even tried to get one on a stream, and I didn't get one then either. But anyways, he brings in Klepki, and I switch into my Rotom thinking he'll go for the Thunder Wave, and he does, and I know he'll switch, so I go for the trick, but he goes into his Ditto Changeling, who's going to transform into my Rotom and take the trick because he's Choice Scarf too. Basically, nothing happens. Now, I go for the Volt Switch, hoping I lose the speed tie so that I get the switch initiative, but I'm thinking, well, he might go for the Volt Switch too, thinking the same thing. And I go to Rhyperior regardless of what he would do. Overheat, resisted, trick. I guess that's okay, I guess. So I go in the Rhyperior to take the trick. Now here he predicts me to stay in and go for the Earthquake, predicting him to switch out because why would he stay in on Rhyperior with Stone Edge and whatnot, right? Well, that was kind of ballsy, but it worked out in his favor. So I have to switch out because there's nothing I can do. And even if I expected him to go for Volt Switch, it wouldn't do anything. So yeah, he's gonna go into his Aegislash, and I'm gonna have him go right for the trick, which I guess he forgot that, you know, Trick could go through King's Shield, and that will play a role later on in this battle. So yeah, pretty much crippling this thing is really nice because once he attacks, he's pretty much stuck in blade form until he switches out. So, or if he goes for King Shield, he's pretty much stuck in King Shield. So here I go for the overheat, expecting him maybe to stay in. I don't know. I didn't expect him to switch out because I thought it would have been kind of obvious, you know, for me to go for the bull switch. But he just goes back into his freaking Ditto and transforms into my Rotom yet again. And yeah, that's basically the highlight of this battle. It's basically my Rotom H and his Ditto transformed as a Rotom, pretty much battling it out. Going for Trick, Volt Switch, etc. In fact, he goes for the Trick here. And basically, we're pretty much switching items. He gets my leftovers, so now he's going to get a bit of HP at the end of every turn. So yeah, that's basically what's happening right now. And I go for the Volt Switch thinking, well, I better just bring in something else to deal with the situation. And I go into I go into my Rhyperior predicting Thunderbolt, which I get correct. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I can live an overheat at this point, but that critical hit definitely played a role there because, yeah, he wasn't able to live it. So it's rather unfortunate, but Rhyperior wasn't going to do much else anyway, so I guess that's kind of a thing. Now, I go into my Meloetta now to, I guess, pretty much go for the Psychic because, yeah, I know that Volt Switch isn't going to do that much damage, and despite how screwed up the IVs are on this Meloetta, I made it work somehow. And I just go for the Psychic, just expecting to do any kind of damage, and he goes and do his Klefki. And I'm going to switch out in my Rotom again because I know he'll probably go for T-Wave, or even if he goes for Foul Play, it's not going to do all that much damage. So at that point, he's going to go back into his Ditto, transform into my freaking Rotom Heat, and he's going to take the Overheat again. So yeah, we're pretty much back to this again. Rotom H versus his clone, his brother in crime. Well, I don't even, would you even call him the brother in crime? Because, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really work. Now, I just go for the pointless Trick. I don't even know why I went for Trick. I guess I was thinking, oh, I can get maybe if I win the speed tie, I can keep the lefties next turn. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happens. I pretty much knock out that Rotom, well, the Ditto transformed as Rotom H, and then I go out into my Trickstar, my Whimsicott, just in case he goes into like Klefki or something like that. And here I go for the Lead Seed. The reason I didn't switch out was because since I switched out to Rotom so many times, I didn't think he would go for the Thunder Wave again. Because, I mean, if I went into my Rotom again, I would threaten with the Overheat or just Volt Switch out. But that is not the case. In fact, here, I know he's going to probably set up screens or spikes or something like that, and I'm going to go right for the Encore here, so that I can go for the U-turn, because he'll have to switch out because he's pretty much stuck on using Reflect for 3 turns at the very least. So he goes into his Aegis Slash, and I'm going to go into my Meloetta. Why? Because Meloetta can basically, she's immune to the Ghost Stab, and the Fighting type move won't do that much. And plus he's locked into a move which he completely forgets about here. So he's stuck in using Swords Dance, and he's going to have to switch out immediately into Klefki again, and I just go right for the Shadow Ball again. And to do a decent amount of damage. This is more of like a bulky spread that I was going for anyway, so yeah, Spadef drop doesn't even matter at all. And I'm going to switch out, expecting Thunder Wave, but he goes for Foul Play, which again does very little damage to my Rotom H. Now, with the Reflect gone, I'm pretty much just going to go for the Thunderbolt here, just to finish this thing off, because I don't want this thing setting up any more screens or spikes or anything of the sort. So, yeah, once that thing's gone, in comes the big threat. Sensational, his Scolipede. Now, this was the moment where I was like, oh crap, that's not good, especially because my Rhyperior died and stuff like that, and because he took that critical hit from the Overheat, he has no chance of living a hit anyways. So right here, I'm going to go into my Abyss Siren, my Milotic, and hopefully get a burn with the Scald, because I was definitely going to need it, because I actually had to look up calcs after the battle to see how much damage a +2 Adamant Life Orb Mega Horn would do. And, well, let's just say she wouldn't have lived even at full HP. Yeah, it was pretty much a guaranteed 1-hit KO. And that scared me. I was just like, holy crap, that did a lot of damage. And that just flat out killed me. Holy crap. So I'm going to have to go back to my Whimsicott, get paralyzed because I was trying to go for the freaking Stun Spore. But he misses the Mega Horn. So yeah, basically nothing happens except him getting a speed boost and Whimsicott getting freaking lefties. So that's basically a thing. And I'm going to go for the Stun Spore again. And I hit it and then he gets paralyzed. So yeah, there's a lot of hacks in this late game, but honestly, it's not that much different from our older battles. We've had a lot of hacksy games before. Although you could argue that the games I had with Elo were a lot more hacksier just because every time we battle, there's always seems to be some crazy hacks going on. And this was not much different from it, I guess. Now I go into Gallade, which isn't going to outspeed because this thing got a lot of speed boosts, and even with the paralyzed, and I'm running Adamant, so that's a thing. And at the time, this Gallade did not have Shadow Sneak, so I didn't go for it because I didn't have Shadow Sneak. Otherwise, I would have went for it and finished it off there. So he dodges Mega Horn like a freaking wizard. Yeah, because he's a freaking wizard. Why the heck not? And I'm going to have him go for the close combat on that Mawile as it Mega Evolves, and I do a decent amount of damage considering his attack drop. And yeah, it's just pretty much just going to get a pointless critical hit and knock out my Gallade instantly. And I'm pretty much going to go into my Meloetta, who's pretty much going to die to Sucker Punch. So yeah, that's pretty much the game. So yeah, pretty interesting game and very hacksy near the end, but sometimes the hacks makes the battle interesting, although at times it makes it really annoying and not fun. And I think this turned out alright for what it was. So yeah, if you enjoyed this battle, you know, leave a like or whatever, leave a comment, you know, leave me your thoughts below. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.